A nuclear strike is always the threat Pakistan holds out against any possible Indian attack. Recently, after India declared it would avenge the Pulwama attack, Pakistan's Rail Minister Sheikh Rashid Ahmad again threatened of a nuclear strike, after which neither the birds would chirp nor the bells would ring in temples. But India has an answer to this threat, a cold start. It is a war doctrine aimed at punishing Pakistan without a full-blown nuclear clash. This is Globe Z, and today we will analyze the Indian cold start doctrine. It seems Indian think tanks have got the idea of cold start from the Blitzkrieg, which means lightning fast warfare. It was a warfare strategy developed by General Heinz Guderian of the Wehrmacht, that is the German military during World War II. The Blitzkrieg consists of 3 phases. In the first phase, bombers attacked narrow fronts and weakened them, destroying the main communication infrastructure of the target. In the second phase, ground forces, consisting of an armored spearhead, create an opening in the front, accompanied with mechanized infantry and self-propelled artillery. This punch isolates the target's forces. In the third phase, the bombers attack the target's headquarters, while the artillery and mechanized infantry attack rear forces of the target, weakening and breaking the front. This is followed by an armored thrust deep into the target's homeland. India has utilized the concept of Blitzkrieg in formation of its cold start doctrine. The idea for the cold start was fueled by Operation Parakaram, launched after the terror attack on the Indian Parliament in December 2001. The operation exposed major operational gaps in India's offensive power, mainly slow troop mobilization along the border. After the attack, Indian strike corps took almost a month to reach the border. This gave Pakistan enough time to take countermeasures and for the US to pressurize the Indian government to back off. In 2009, the then Indian Army Chief, General retired Deepak Kapoor, said that a major leap in our approach to conduct of operations has been the successful firming in of the cold start strategy. Former Army Chief of the Indian Army, General Bipin Rawat, publicly acknowledged the existence of such a doctrine when he took charge of the office in 2017. India has 3 strike corps, each having an armored division, mechanized infantry, and substantial artillery support. The cold start doctrine requires the transformation of the 3 strike corps into 8 division-sized integrated battle groups, or IBGs. Having the ability to operate independently, they will strike at 8 different and unpredictable locations inside Pakistan with air support and artillery cover. This thrust must be done in 96 hours. India has been acquiring technology to boost its swift and rapid warfare capabilities. India has acquired weapons such as T-90 main battle tanks, Su-30 and MiG-29 aircraft, BrahMos cruise missile, nuclear submarines, aircraft carriers such as Vikramaditya, and the S-400 air defense system. The following map shows 8 integrated battle groups along Pakistan's border ready to attack Pakistan. India has been testing this capability in war games and exercises along Pakistan's border. The following map shows all the exercises conducted by India. These exercises were aimed at developing synergy and integration within the Indian forces to deliver a major thrust within a limited time frame. India is developing information, electronic warfare, and network-centric warfare capabilities. Information and electronic warfare help in the dissemination of misinformation, disinformation, and propaganda. They also facilitate intelligence gathering, surveillance, and reconnaissance. The cold start doctrine requires the gathering of valuable information as well as spread of wrong information while jamming and sabotaging the information infrastructure of Pakistan to deprive it from necessary situational awareness. The Indian military conducted Hind Shakti exercise in April 2009 to test its electronic, information, and network-centric warfare capabilities. India also acquired long-range reconnaissance and observation system, weapon locating radars, and battlefield surveillance radars to increase its electronic warfare and network-centric warfare capabilities. For example, former Indian Army Chief General retired V.K. Singh formed a secret unit in the Indian Army called the Technical Services Division. The Technical Services Division was tasked to buy the loyalties of the Kashmiri leaders in Indian-occupied Kashmir and to target Lashkar-e-Taiba leadership to carry out terrorist attacks inside Pakistan. This was confirmed by an Indian Army official who was privy to the tasks carried out by the Technical Services Division. India is also increasing its firepower in the seas. This is clear by the development of a blue water navy. A blue water navy is a maritime force capable of operating globally, essentially across the deep waters of open oceans. Under the Indian Act East policy, India aims to counter China and Pakistan in the Indian Ocean region. For this, India has acquired nuclear submarines to gain a second strike capability. The Indian Navy leased another nuclear submarine known as INS Chakra II, which is basically a Russian-made Akula-class submarine previously known as K-152 Dnepr in 2011. Furthermore, the Indian Navy inducted the Kirvak Class 3 stealth frigates and conventional submarines to boost its naval power. The following map shows the construction of Indian naval bases to counter the development of Gwadar port. These two naval bases are Mumbai Naval Base, which is almost 1,290 kilometers away from Gwadar, and Karavar Naval Base, which is 1,687 kilometers away from Gwadar. The aim of these naval bases is to counter growing Chinese influence in the Indian Ocean region and countering Pakistan at the same time. The following infographics show how the Cold Start Doctrine will look like once in action. India will use its Air Force to carry out airstrike to weaken Pakistan's front. It will be followed by an armored spearhead along with mechanized infantry. Among the integrated battle groups, combat engineers would be present to support the mechanized infantry and the armored spearhead. And for artillery cover, India will use self-propelled artillery guns. All of this will be covered from the sea as well, where India will use its Blue Water Navy's aircraft carriers to provide air support to the ground forces. The following map shows a simulation of the attack by the integrated battle groups. A barrage of airstrikes will clear the path for the armored spearhead. The armored spearhead will punch through Pakistan's front line and move in, followed by mechanized infantry to counter rear forces and to develop a support line, which will then be followed by self-propelled artillery guns to provide artillery cover to the advancing armored spearhead, which will go further into Pakistani territory. The ground forces would be supported by Indian Navy, which aims to blockade Pakistan and use its aircraft carriers to carry out airstrikes deep within Pakistan, clearing the path for the integrated battle groups to go in. All of this must be done within 96 hours. On paper, the Cold Start Doctrine seems to be an impressive and ambitious strategy. However, Pakistan has checkmated this strategy for now by developing Nasr and Hataf, which are short-range tactical nuclear weapons, which Pakistan will use to thwart such attacks. Furthermore, after Operation Swift Retort carried out by Pakistan Air Force on 27th of February 2019, in which Pakistan Air Force shot down 2 Indian MiG-21 aircraft inside Pakistani airspace and captured one of the pilots, who was later identified as Wing Commander Abhinandan. It is clear to India that it cannot use the Cold Start Doctrine against Pakistan. New Delhi realized this after losing a $25.1 million MiG-21 for a cup of tea. This does not mean that Pakistan should not boost its defensive capabilities, as after this, India will use other means of warfare against Pakistan, because it is clear to the Indian leadership after Operation Swift Retort that India cannot mess with Pakistan on the borders. Thus, India will now energize the diplomatic front against Pakistan and use other hybrid warfare techniques. Like, subscribe and share, and stay tuned for more videos.